Good morning guys and welcome back to another episode of Barham Engines. Remember, smash that subscribe button, as the young kids say. Right everyone, happy Monday morning. First things first, we've got a John Deere 6-cylinder on here being refaced. You can see that's a big old bad boy and it bloody weighs a ton as well. We literally did one Friday. Just over behind Isaac there, we had to take the valves out of that. That was a 4-valve cylinder, this is a 2. And you can see on this one, the valves sit just below the surface, so it's ideal. But you can see, obviously, around the gasket line, it has been blowing the gasket, and being a long 6-cylinder head, yeah, it's they do warp some. But anyway, guys, right, so over here, which is a job that I started on Friday, so this is going to give the haters something to comment about. So it's the definition of a Heath Robinson setup. Now what we've got is it's the Mercedes Cosworth E190 engine that we're doing. So we've rebored the block, we've honed that, that's all finished, ready to wash. Now I did explain in another video that we've got the original piston here, then we've got the part number from there. So this is the original item, but just what Marla produced now. So what they do is they put a little tiny bowl in the top rather than it be flat top, just so obviously if you face the head or the block, it gives you that little bit of extra compression. There is some to take off the outside of here anyway, obviously once they've done a dummy build, but as you can see, this one comes with valve pockets in it, but the Marla doesn't. Now I did explain in the other video, won't go into it too far, but Marla a lot of the time come with a semi-finished crown, so obviously you can put your own bowl in there, you can do your own heights, and you can obviously put your own valve pockets in there. So that's what we do, we're just replicating the pockets from the original piston. Now we have exhaust and inlet. You can see this one here I've replicated, looking very smart. And this one here I have done one side, but I've just got to do the other side. So how do we set this up? So obviously you know on the Cosworths that it comes with this pin that we slide through where the gudgeon pin goes, and we can clamp that down nice and securely on our jig over here. So what we're doing is we're using a similar setup, but with the piston we're using 2 gudgeon pins, obviously rather than one. And what we do then is we set this up, rather than, obviously, because that tool doesn't work there, we could make another one, but if we had to make another one of those at every one we do, I mean the chances of us doing some more Cosworth 190E pistons are pretty slim. If we did loads, then obviously I would make a tool, but it's the time, you know, time is money. So what we do, 2 pins, we sit them against those posts up flat, so we know where that's going. We push the piston up to this one, same as we do on the Cosworth one. Then we've got to find somewhere clamping this. Now this is where the haters are going to love this. So we take this clamp and we clamp very lightly on the back edge, just enough to hold it to do these cutouts. Now a lot of you are going to be saying, I cannot believe he's using a G-clamp to clamp a piston. Just nip it enough to hold it, that's all you want. We're not damaging anything. So there we go guys, so basically what we've got on there is a nice smooth face at the below of that G-clamp there, just so it doesn't mark the surface of the piston. Underneath, we are just nipping it underneath, and it's just literally enough to hold the piston so it's not going to move, and that is dead secure. At the end of the day guys, it might be a G-clamp, might look a bit Heath Robinson, but whatever works, eh? Again, we'll just turn this on, making sure it's at 0, 0, which is our first starting point. Wrap it up, and the way I have set this down here is we turn it till it starts cutting. You can see there, just starting to cut, and we're going to go all the way round to plus 30 on here. So that is basically a 2.5mm deep valve cutout. So just go around there to 30, and then we lift it off 3 turns. You can see there we've got a nice replicated valve pocket cutout. Now what we're going to do is wrap it over, take the spaces, basically the space between the two valves on this side that we're doing is 41 mil. So we've got to go to 41 on there, like that. And we do the same again, guys. Wind up until it touches. And we go round to 30 on here. There we go. Then back off. We can rapid the table down, turn it off, and there we go. Job done. G-clamp has done served its purpose, done the job, and that's all you need. So guys, on the John Deere, you can see we've given it one 5/1000 cut. We're on the second 5/1000 cut now, but just going by where it has cut. So it cleans on the back edge and then gets narrower and narrower towards the middle, and then goes further and further out and cleans on that back edge again. So you can see how these sets not just dip like that, but they sort of dip that way as well, and that is usually a telltale sign. And you can see there, that is evidently bowed. So hopefully one more cut will clean this. Otherwise we're getting to the point where we're going to have to take the valves out, ring the customer and say we need to cut the valves and seats back so the valves sit at their original heights compared to the face. So guys, thumbnail and title time. Yet again, we've got another all been done job come in. Now this is an A series mini engine, and it hasn't come in for a rebuild from us, but it's coming for the machining. So the story is with this, that as you can see, it's already been refaced. We've faced that. But if you look at the cylinder head there, looking distinctly second hand, this thing is a 1320. So obviously it's been bored right out. Now the story is with this, if you just sort of bear the face of that cylinder head and the state of it, and obviously the block, although unfortunately I didn't manage to get any video footage of the face before John had faced it. But the customer bought the bottom end that was all been done off eBay. The customer, in fairness, didn't really know what he was looking at, but it was advertised as all been freshly rebuilt. The cylinder head was this second hand that he supplied. He gave the whole lot to a company, and it's a well-known company, not going to mention any names at this stage, upcountry, that was restoring the vehicle. They're a mini specialist apparently. I've got a feeling they're in London, but they're a mini specialist, so he gave them this supposed rebuilt bottom end, the second-hand cylinder head for them to sort out, build the engine, and they were restoring the car or doing a lot of work on the car. So he sent all this up, they've put it all together, did the car, blah de blah. It's come back down, he's had a whole world of trouble for it, head gasket issues. Not sure whether they didn't want to know about it, don't know the full sort of score there, what the warranty was, etc. Or whether it was one of those where it was sort of got to a point where he just started using it but he's out of warranty. Anyway, he's took it to a garage that we deal with, Organic Mechanics, Scott down there, and Scott's basically trying to iron out some of the problems with this car. Now, first of all, Scott said the lash-ups on the actual vehicle was unbelievable. He said they were just, you name it, it was lashed up, from things like not using the correct bolts and there being about 10 washers on a bolt to make up for the spacing rather than just use a correct length bolt. He said when he drove it to an MOT, they hadn't fitted the wheel bearings properly or something, and when he got there was about an inch of play on the wheel. Then we get to the engine, obviously head gasket issues, so he's took the cylinder head off. First thing he's seen is the second-hand head. So whoever it was who built the engine just put the head on as it was. They didn't even face it. The block face, he said, not only was it a ploughed field, and it was, as I say, I'm a bit gutted that I didn't get any more footage of it because you just wouldn't believe the finish. It would look like they'd cut it on a rapid feed. But not only that, it also looked like they'd turned it upside down, put it on the floor and dragged it around the workshop. So clearly that was blowing a gasket. They hadn't faced that. What had been done with the bottom end, who knows, but it certainly didn't look like it was all fresh. So they have built it like that, and by the looks of it, charged him for an engine build. So yeah, it's just another example, guys, of this all been done. Specialist, always a little bit wary of the word specialist and people calling themselves specialist. But yeah, we're going to get in amongst that bottom end. I think John said that he has checked the block and one of the thrust faces for the crank thrust is mullered and it looks like they've screwed a homemade thrust to it. So how good that is behind there, we don't know. It probably would have done the job, but it's not ideal. So yeah, we're going to get in amongst the head. Obviously John's faced the block. He took about 1/15 out of the block face, so the pistons are going to need modding. But yeah, just another lesson to be learnt, guys. Just be very careful when you buy something from a specialist that is all been done. Right, so Paul's Focus Mark III block, you can see I've bored it now. I've just honed it, but I'm going to wait until we get the pistons just to check the running clearance and make sure that the running clearance I've given it at the minute is enough. I may have to ease them out a little bit. The flywheel is in the big lathe there. We've managed to get the dowels out, so I've just got to face that. And Isaac's just balancing the crank at the minute. So obviously once the flywheel's faced, the next step will be to balance that. The front pulley. All right, Isaac?
All right.
So Paul was intrigued, as many people probably are, how, because this is a brand new crank from Ford, how out of balance will this be? So if you just spin it up, mate, and show us, what's it looking like at the minute?
It's not too bad, but on the front end, sort of a little bit, about.
Yeah, so that's not too bad at all. No. Obviously we're aiming for 0.
But the back end's quite good to be fair.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So obviously, I think at the factory, they will have a certain amount of attempts at balancing it, or it's got to be within a spec, but obviously time is money when they're manufacturing things, and it's to get it 0 is probably a bit unnecessary, or they may balance it as a complete unit. I know on the 5 cylinders that when they put the dual mass flywheel on the end, I think it sort of harmonics it out, and that's the way they balance it, because when you put a solid flywheel conversion on, it's miles out. So yeah, the crank's not too bad so far. So what we'll do is I'll face this now. Isaac will get this up and we'll show you how bad that is. I did say to Paul, which he was quite surprised about, is the trick clutch cover that he's got. They tend to be the worst of all, so he's a bit surprised by that, but we'll see exactly how bad it is. So this flywheel for the Focus, you can see it's a stepped flywheel, and what I mean by that is the centre where the clutch plate runs is shallower than the outside where the clutch cover sits. So what you have to ensure to do is whatever you take off that inner face, you must take off the outer edge. If you don't, then you can run into clutch slip or clutch drag. You can see on that face, I've given it a 15th thou cut already, and you can see that hot spot that's going around in the centre. So that needs to come out. I've given it another 15th thou, so we need to remember that that's 30 thou so far, which we've got to take off the outer side. And we obviously use the height gauge there to check that. So that's gone over that hard spot, and you can see there is still a very slight mark. So I reckon another 10th thou will get that. The only problem, what you have to be careful of, whatever you take out of the centre, you need to make sure that that clutch plate isn't going to touch the bolt heads that bolt the flywheel to the crankshaft. So there we see, look, 40 thou has got that clean, got all the hard spots out. Now this is a steel flywheel as opposed to a cast iron, so it is more imperative that we get those hard spots out so it doesn't slip. So that's cleaned up lovely. I'm going to give that to Isaac now and see how out of balance that actually is. Right guys, so Isaac has spun the flywheel up after refacing it, and usually if you face it, they tend to go out, and he said that the flywheel was about 20, which, as I've said to you before on this machine, this amount doesn't actually mean anything. It's a sort of a percentage really, but it's 20 out, which is not too bad at all. So he's balanced that. He's put the clutch cover on, which I said potentially could be really bad, and he said it was up about 35 to 40. So still not too bad, but definitely the worst thing on this crank assembly. So yeah, 40, as I say, you've only got to have maybe the flywheel out a bit on the same side, and that'll be up near sort of 80, which is really not good enough, especially for something like this where it's going to be revving fair. So if we just quickly spin this one up, pull this lever so So you've got movement on the left-hand side, so it's the left-hand side it's reading now. You can see that is up near about 35, which, to be honest, is not great if you're talking sort of race engine. Even on a standard engine, that ain't brilliant. So yeah, just proofs in the pudding there, guys. It's very, very important that you balance every single item on the crank assembly, including the pistons and rods. But usually the more trick the clutch, the worse they are. So that's it for another video today, guys. Thanks ever so much for watching. Stay tuned for this week's videos. We're going to be stripping that one hopefully in the next video. We've got another engine coming, Cosworth, which we're going to be stripping. I'm sure you Cosworth guys are going to be really interested to see what's going on in there. We've got to put top hat liners, etc. in there. And the M3, the engine for the E30, the S50 engine, 3.2, covers off it. We're going to be getting in amongst that and obviously tidying it up, seeing what's inside, ready for the E30, which obviously we're going to be updating you in some later on videos. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Have a great evening. Cheers.